Welcome to Love Your Coaching. I'm Charlie, and today we're going to talk about the opening topic stage of a coaching session. Why are we talking about this? Because if we help this topic stage go really well, the opening stage of a coaching session, then it gives both coach and coachee the best chance of having a rich and meaningful conversation. It's not always true, but it is often true that the more time and the more focus we give to this topic stage, the more likely that the coachee is to be able to see what they want to work on and to be able to really get into the depth of it. So we try not to rush through this stage. And to help us, we've got a little bit of a micro structure to support us through this stage. And to be really clear, when I talk about the opening or the topic stage, I don't mean that it's those first few minutes of a nice check-in and catch up and getting our coachee nicely settled into the room. Or I don't even mean about reviewing the actions that may they be bringing in from their last coaching session. I'm talking about from the moment we say, what's today's coaching session topic? So it's that stage we're talking about. I Love Your Coaching. We love a bit of a mini structure, and we have a mini structure for this topic, this T stage. So let's walk through it. Firstly, we clearly need to ask for the topic. We need to be really clear on what topic they want to achieve. And it's a topic that they have chosen to bring. And we find that most people bring a topic and most people have thought about a topic. Sometimes they haven't, and sometimes we have to help tease it out. Most people, I'm going to say, if they have thought of a topic, they haven't necessarily thought of this next bit. They haven't thought about what do they want to achieve from talking about this. So they might have thought, for example, I want to talk about this upcoming meeting or this relationship with my colleague or this plan that I've got. And yeah, I'll bring that to coaching. Great. And I can have a good chat through with my coach about it. But actually, they may not have thought, okay, where do I want to be on this topic? Where do I want to be by 10 o'clock? So as a coach, asking that, saying, where do you want to be? Where do you want to get to at the end of our coaching session can be incredibly useful, and it can give a bit of focus. It might not instantly be obvious, and lots of coaches say, I don't want to ask that question because they might not know. And fine if they don't know. We'll spend a bit more time at this stage to gradually tease out and help them find out what it is. If we get a topic and an outcome, that can be enough. And that, if it's really solid and we both know what they want to achieve, we can push to the main stage of the coaching session. But I like to spend a bit more time here if we've got time and if there's focus. And I think there's a few other things we can do before we get into the main body. Here are a couple. We can ask them something like why they've chosen this topic. What makes this a coaching topic? Why are they bringing this now? We can explore some of those things. Or we could perhaps explore benefits. What are they going to get from working this through? What can they imagine will be different if they get through this topic and getting a decent outcome? There are other potential ones on that bottom line. There are other potential areas, but I've just put a couple down to get us going and get us started. So you can see there is a good flow to this. There are a whole bunch of things that you can do, and the coach, we can take our time to be able to work through these stages. It might not be linear. You might ask the topic question and you might get answers to all three of those other boxes, in which case that's fine. You might find that even asking the topic question isn't clear enough and you need to go back to it and keep teasing out a little bit more. But overall, as a structure, I think it offers you something that you can use to help your coachee be able to work through and identify what it is that they want to achieve in today's session. Let's look at some questions. As ever, we provide some sample questions. We ask you to not use them slavishly and work through a sequential list. These are just a few stimulus questions. For the topic question, you will notice that the questions that I'm suggesting are all quite neutral. It's not what's the issue or what's the problem or what challenge, but it's the language of neutrality. So if our coachee is bringing something positive, then it fits into it. So if they are bringing an upcoming opportunity or something positive, then topic or area of focus, that is really useful language. The outcome, we can ask things like, what do they want to achieve? We can ask where they want to be at the end of the hour. We may ask a bit of a nudge question, what else, anything else? As I said, our coaches may not have thought about this in much detail, so we might want to give it a bit more time. And they may answer a question that we didn't ask. They may answer the question of where do they want to be on this topic generally. So they may say, well, I want to get the job, or I want tomorrow's meeting to go well, or I want my colleague to do X differently. And that's not really an outcome from this session. We don't want to correct them. We don't want to make them wrong. So perhaps asking something like, okay, if that's what you want to achieve outside of the session, what do you need to work on in the session to get there? And that helps to identify the outcome. And those other two boxes, here are a few reason questions that we might ask. I really like this question, what makes it an issue now? Why is this important now? Or what is it about now? And there may not be anything. There may just be because it's the next thing in the list. Or it may be because they're ready to work on something, or maybe because something's happened. Who knows? We can't guess these reasons, can we? We need to let them emerge. And the final one, thinking about the potential impact. And one of the things I'd ask you to see is notice some of the language. I've said things like, what benefit may it have? What might be different about achieving this goal? They don't know. We're not asking them to guess the future, but we're asking them to imagine a little bit. And we're giving them an opportunity to be able to see and visualize a bit the possibility of change. So it gives us a really, really nice starting point. There will be many, many, many other questions. Someone sent me a list called 549 great questions to ask at the beginning of a coaching session. Slightly too long a list. I'm not going to be sharing that. But it's good to think maybe there are a few other questions that really, really emerge that are important to you. I heard a coach ask recently in this impact, they asked a question something like, how much energy have you got to put towards this topic? And that's a brilliant question. It doesn't fit neatly into any box, but it still works really well. So you can see the structure that I'm sharing with you and that I'm presenting gives you and gives the coachee a really good opportunity to get this opening stage really, really nicely consolidated so that then the session can flow. My main bit of guidance is do not move on from this stage unless you can answer to yourself the question, do I know what the coachee wants to achieve today? And do they know? If you're not clear, if it's not really evident to both of you, then ask a bit more here. Just get a bit of clarity. Maybe a summary at the end to check in to make sure that it is clear before you move on. As I said at the beginning of this video, I do think the opening stage of this coaching session can be incredibly important, and it can be the foundations to be able to work on and develop through the whole session. We can't give an absolute rule to say that without a really strong opening stage, the coaching won't work. But I think we can draw a correlation. I definitely think about the coaching sessions I've had that haven't worked so well. It's because I rushed through here, one of the reasons. So my encouragement is really practice this opening stage. They're on the other YouTube channel playlist. There are some videos just of those open stages, so you can watch them. Practice this. In training, we practice just the opening stage. Practice it with perhaps a coaching buddy. When you listen to your recordings of your coaching sessions, listen to those first 5 to 7 minutes. See how solid your opening stage is. Get your opening stage really nice and solid. I think it can make a huge difference to your coachee, but also to you as a coach, giving you the confidence that you'll be able to move into the main stage, knowing what you're working on. I hope this opening stage, this topic stage structure works well for you. I hope you have good coaching experiences with it. Good luck with it and happy coaching.